So do you want to get like a stool that you sit? You want to hang out and stand? I don't know what you're more comfortable in.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I can just stand. You guys, do you want to do it with me? I'll do it. Okay, come on. I'll have her be, can you see if, yeah, I guess we'll just
Yeah, you guys are here.
we'll just stand right there.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so this is Miss Carly. She's a buyer's agent on our team. Brad back there, buyer's agent on the team. They know this very well, so they're going to be able to critique me now.
That's a big test for you.
Even better. This is good. I don't know where. Over here.
There is great.
Okay.
There is great. So you guys are going to do your little thing, is that right?
Yeah, we'll just
So
do
I'm
it.
going to hang out here and just be support and
Yeah.
rah-rah and whatever you
Yep,
need.
we'll just go through kind of what we do. All right, so I'll start it out just kind of from the beginning, obviously. When the appointment is set, you know, we have a nice email confirmation. Of course, you want to do the 24-hour before, confirm your appointment that they're coming to the office. Do you guys do buyer appointments in the office? Anybody? I know you kind of, you're just saying, right, but are you gonna do buyer appointments or not?
I think she just wants me to kind of
See what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. But how about you guys? Anybody do them in the office? Do you always do them in the office or do you?
New agents.
Yeah.
They'll do whatever you
You're
tell them to
okay,
do.
so you're going to have them come into the
You're
office. That's the best way to do it. You know, if you don't, if you're just running and meeting people at houses, you're literally just showing them homes. You know, you're just a showing agent. You're not actually, you know, attempting to be an agent that's going to add some value, right? If you don't know anything about them, you're just opening doors. That's all you're doing. So what you want to do is be able to bring them in to the office so that you can build that relationship with them, get a loyalty agreement signed, so that you know you have a business relationship, same way you would do if you took a listing. You're not going to go take a listing if that listing, if they're not, the seller is not going to work with you, right? So why would you want to run out and take buyers if they're not committed to you? Okay, so for that just a little bit. So
Tell them who you like.
Oh, you want me
in
to-
the business? Introduce yourself. Like,
I was gonna say, I'm gonna sit and tell you.
I'm Rachel Woodruff. I've been in the business 25 years. We were kind of talking about that before we got started. But yeah, I say little house match. I was Rachel House most of the years. Remarried Rachel Woodruff now, and we're joined with Matt Bohannon creating house match.
How
So,
many agents do you guys have?
hopefully there's 7 of us as far as agents on the team, but total on the team with between ISAs and ops, we are at 15 to 16? 15. Yeah, 15. Yep. So
15.
it's fun.
How long did it take you to really find your stride in building? Like 6 months, 6 years, 3 years, 3 years?
So-
Like, what did
Last
you-
week.
Still working?
Yeah, last week, every day, I start over again. You know what, I don't really know that. I mean, I don't remember. It's been too long. As far as like really, I did start out in real estate as an assistant to an agent. So I kind of built myself up that way and took off. But I'll give an example of, I mean, agents on the team, you know, we hope to have them, you know, definitely doing at least 12 to 24 transactions in the first year. If that helps, you know, kind of what, you know, what I think somebody is very capable of doing.
Would that be more on the buying side, listing or anything? whatever
Buying
you
side.
like, Buying side.
Buying side. Mhm.
An average price, like what, 350, 250, like?
That luckily is going up with the market, so naturally, but I'm gonna say between 250 and 300 is probably our average sales price. But I would say this year, we're gonna probably see that take a little bit of an uptick. Like I said, automatically.
The office average is closer to 350,
350,
and you guys mirror that quite
okay.
nicely.
Pretty much, yeah, so it's actually a little better than I thought. Yeah. Any other specific?
They'll have questions.
I'm terrible at this presentation stuff. All right, so once we have the buyer coming in, like I said, we've sent them their information. We've got a hi, welcome.
Can you leave that?
We're gonna set up a room, get them to come in, and then we'll start the buyer presentation. And Ms. Kelly's so there's a couple different ways. We do have a slideshow as well that you can put up on the computer. But I just brought this for today, just so I have it with me. All right, so. Hi, Carly, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we look forward to helping you and your family buy your next home. So Carly, today I'm gonna go over 3 objectives that we have for the day, okay? Number 1 is we're gonna go over the current state of the market, okay, and the buying process. And secondly, we're gonna go over all your new must-haves in your new home, yay, the fun part. And then also just go over some of the basic, we're going to go over the next steps so that you leave here with a clear picture of what you want to do next. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Kendall knows all about me and standing out in front of people. All right, so next, so our little slide here just goes over the buying process here. All right, so you ready to get started?
I sure am.
Awesome. All right. So Carly, let me ask you, do you like being high pressure in making a decision? No, nobody ever does. That's why House Match, we take the consultative approach. We are going to give you all of the information and let you make an educated decision. How does that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
Good. So buyer's market versus the seller's market. Do you know the difference?
No, I have no idea.
No. So a seller's market means that we have to be a bit more aggressive in our offer, okay? There's a lot of great homes out there. They're just not sitting on the market waiting for us to find them. A buyer's market means there is an abundance of homes and things are moving just a little bit slower. Do you know what market we're in right now?
We're in a buyer's market.
Seller's market. All right, so back on that note, the average list price to sales price ratio right now is 100%. So listing inventory is down about 68% from this time, same time as last year. When inventory is down, of course, demand goes up. And when demand goes up, then of course prices are going to follow and go up as well. Now, the reason I share this with you is because real estate is hyper-local. Okay, I want you to know what's going on in the market that you're buying in. Okay. Next is financing. Now, this is going to set you up for to win when making an offer. Okay, Carly, consider this. A seller gets 2 offers. One is fully approved and it's $5,000 below asking price. The other offer that comes in is at asking price. However, that buyer is not qualified at all, has no approval done, no pre-approval done. There's no credit been pulled, no verification of income. Would you as a seller risk losing the deal over a little bit more money? No. So can you see why that pre-approval makes sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so next, 100% of my buyers use, or clients use buyer's agency, okay? As I mentioned before, the average list price to sales price ratio is 100%. Our averages on our team working with us is 98.6, keeping nearly 1.5% in your pocket. Pretty cool, huh?
It is.
Yeah. So all I do is work with buyers. I'm able to see over 200 homes per month. So we know the market. Fun stuff. All right, so next is for sell by owners. Carly, for sell by owner is going to either hire an attorney or a broker to write their contract. And attorneys get paid by
The hour?
the hour. They're very expensive.
Right.
I only get paid if you buy the home and I want to see you close. So you can see the benefit of working with a broker instead of an attorney.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. Now, new construction. I'm going to give you some of my cards if you decide to stop in. Because do you want every salesperson in Sarasota calling you?
No way.
No. So give them one of those. That way they'll call me instead of you. All right. I'll take all of her ask. All right. Shopping for your new home. So Carly, I found that there's no such thing as the perfect home, right? We have to find a home. The kitchen might be absolutely perfect, but maybe the family room is a little bit too small. Maybe your backyard is great, but the kids' bedrooms are a little small.
Right.
What we gotta do is find a home that has the least amount of concessions. Is that fair enough?
Definitely.
So Carly, don't be surprised if the first home that you see is the one you want to buy. The reason I tell you this is if you're good at telling me what you want and I'm good at listening, then I'm gonna be able to take you right to it. Because remember, I've seen all this. So, and you do want to go right to the best homes first, right?
Definitely.
And the way I'm gonna know if you want to buy it is I'm simply gonna ask. Is that okay?
Yes,
Okay. And if I forget by chance, will you remind me?
I definitely will.
Okay, good. Sounds good. So once we found that perfect contract, or that perfect house, I'm sorry, then we're gonna need to move quickly on getting an offer in.
Okay.
So let's go through the key points real quick on the contract so we know what we're about to do, okay? So number one, obviously, is the list price. Negotiating point would be the list price. Closer to list price right now is the stronger the offer. Make sense?
Sure does.
All right. Next, we're gonna do our deposit. Now, the deposit is gonna be dropped off to the title company once your offer is accepted, okay? We usually say earnest money needs to be about 2% of your offer price,
Okay.
okay? Obviously, the larger escrow deposit, the stronger your offer,
Makes sense.
okay? So inspecting your new home. The next step is our inspection period. Obviously, the tighter that number two, the stronger the offer. Inspections are for major items only, okay, such as your roof, your electrical, plumbing. The reason I tell you this is that I've seen a lot of buyers such as yourself lose the perfect home over something so small. Like, you know, linoleum lifting up in the corner, a loose tile in the bathroom. Every home, every inspector's job, I should say, is to find everything wrong with the home. Okay, so don't be surprised when you get a 50-page report with a whole bunch of red circles over it. It's the inspector's job to tell us all that. And don't worry, I'm here to help you decipher what's major to that honey to-do list for the future. Okay?
Okay.
Your husband can take care of all that. All right. So the next step would be your appraisal. Your lender is going to reach out to collect payment for that.
Okay.
Okay, best part of that is you won't be overpaying for your home. Next is our loan approval. So this means that everything, your title is clear. Your loan docs have all been verified through underwriting, and you are all set and ready to close. Your home's appraised, it's all good, time to celebrate. So you're going to need to wire the balance of funds to the title company, like I say, 24 to 48 hours before closing.
Okay.
That way it ensures that it gets there, and then don't forget to bring a photo ID with you.
Okay.
Sound good?
That definitely does.
Perfect. Now, this will be a little different because obviously we have a team, so it'll be a little, you know, you might not have this part kind of situation. You're always working with a specialist, working with HouseNet. My job is to find you that perfect home, negotiate the contract and all the repairs, join the negotiations.
Okay.
My client success team is going to handle it from there. They are fantastic at all the paperwork and keeping all those timelines moving super smooth. All right, and then you also have another person to talk to. Sound good?
Sounds
Exciting. And I'd say that's probably the next added value about our team. So I don't know, I'll kind of stop there on those pieces. Do you
Well,
wanna
if
go?
you're not part of a team, we do have Assist a Pro with the office that it's $150. I want to say it's $150 and they'll do a lot of the paperwork. That is not any kind of a replacement for what HouseNet's team admin support does. However, it is something that does help. So you could still reference the fact that you have a team behind you because you do have an office and you have support people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that part just gives them a whole good scenario of the market, what's going on, you educate them, what are your pieces of the puzzle. Then as I talked to her, one next step would be going over the must-haves. So we have our little form that we've created to ask those questions. Of course, I won't go through the whole thing, but it's pretty much, we always say, get the top 5 from if you have a husband and a wife or whoever's there purchasing the home, make sure you get the top 5 from both. And then we say dig deep, 3 deep. So such as if somebody wants I use myself as an example, a large yard, you know, your mindset's going to go to a large yard in your eyes. I live on 5 acres. A large yard to me is a very large yard. A large yard to her might be something completely different, just a little, you know, fenced area for her dog to go potty.
Yeah.
So digging 3 deep, you want, that way you know, what does that specifically mean to that person? You know, they want a good outdoor area, they want a pool, they want a kitchen. A kitchen, again, I don't like to cook. I just want a decent kitchen, you know, but if you're a chef, you might want something different. So that's the biggest part there. And then I'm gonna read through these because I don't wanna mess them up. The next step we would do would be to go over our motivation. So Carly, at House Match, we like our motivation to match our motivation. We follow up with our customers in one of 3 ways. So first is our hot buyer. Our hot buyers are looking to do something from right now until 60 days. With our hot buyers, you are going to be set up on an instant notification plan. You'll get notification of homes that hit the market before Zillow, Trulia, and all those fun places. And then we're going to reach out to you every couple of days to see if we can answer any questions and also make sure we get you into those homes ASAP since they're selling right away. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Next would be our soon buyers. Our soon buyers are looking to do something from now until the next, or I say 2 months to 6 months. Our soon buyers, we're going to send a curated list once a week, so you kind of can get an idea of the market and kind of narrow in on your home styles and communities that you like. Okay. We'll call you every 2 weeks to answer any questions and then tighten up that search for when you're ready to move on up.
Okay.
Next would be our watch buyers. Our long-term. Watch is what we call them. Our long-term buyers are looking to do something in the next 2 years or a year or two. Our long-term buyers get a curated list of homes once a month. We do this so the long-term buyer can really see the trends of the market and understand what's happening as they look at the longer-term picture. And that way we're not emailing you a whole bunch of junk emails too. So where would you say, Carly, you are in this process?
I think I'm a soon buyer.
Okay, sounds good. So what I'm going to do from here then is I'm going to go ahead and get our search set up for you. Okay, it's coming your way. I'll give you a call tomorrow just to make sure you can get in, log in, and understand everything.
Okay.
And then from there, like I said, we'll give about 2 weeks. I'll call you, see if I can answer any questions, and we'll just stay connected and say, oh, sound good?
Sounds good, Rachel.
All right. See you soon. Okay. So that just gives a good feel for that gives you a good feel for time frame too, because that's super important. You know, what's your follow-up look like? Again, if we don't ask the questions, then we put our own emotion into it. We read them ourselves, and that's not really necessarily what they're thinking. That's how we miss possibilities and not find a house right away.
Quick question. So on that one step where you had like where you were talking to about the information, when do you kind of cross over and asking them, you know, what's their legal names, how much deposit they're willing to put down, what's their earnest deposit? Do you try and get that upfront when you talk to them the first time you meet with them? Try and find that information out so that you have the details so that, let's say, I mean, I know you have a team, but for example, let's say as a single agent,
Yeah.
you know, when you meet with them, do you want to kind of like, what would you say is your must-haves? This is like the name, the legal names, who's going to be on the contract, what kind of earnest deposit are you willing to put down? Whether it's, let's say, 5 or 10 in the deposit. Because most of the time, most of the people at the moment do already have pre-approval letters, right? Because they know they need it. So what would you say is kind of your
and that's
last questions?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So before we are going to meet with a buyer, we are going to do our best. And I won't tell you it's 100%, but a majority of time they are going to, it's either going to be cash and we have that proof of funds, or we're going to have an approval letter. Okay. That bank approval letter is going to help you with writing that offer, because generally the names on the approval letter are how we need to write the offer. So if you've done, before that person comes in, if they're approved, it's good to get that letter. That's going to answer a lot of your questions. It's going to tell you what type of loan they're getting, so we know how to write it, what type of closing costs. It's fantastic to reach out to the lender too and say, hey, you know, and this might be done before, it might be done after, it depends. If this is just a cold lead that is coming in, you might not have all this, but if it's a warmer lead that's coming in, you could reach out to the lender and say, hey, do we need closing costs? How does this all look? What are your expectations on when I write this contract, closing date, things like that. I think it's best to get it from the lender because they've seen the docs, they know how much cash is in that bank account. And then as far as if you don't know that information, once we talk to them, either they like me, we're working together now, and then I'm going to reach out to their lender and get those answers more from the lender than I'm going to from them at that point.
Okay, so you do talk to the lender?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now during a consultation, because nobody was, we were just running through what I do. But let's say I have a buyer and I say, look, your average deposit should be 2%, right? For a strong offer. Sometimes you're going to see people not blink an eye and it's perfectly fine. Some people are going to look at you and they're going to be like, oh my God, they're going to be staring at their significant other. We don't have that kind of money, that's where you have to pay attention to the customer when you're sitting with them. If you see that, then that's a time I'm going to stop and say, does that concern you? How much were you hoping to put down as your deposit? I'll go over pros and cons. If we don't have any more money to do, maybe they're doing a VA loan, maybe they're FHA, maybe they need closing costs and they have a little bit to put down and that's all they need. Then we're going to do something different. I'm going to answer that for them then. But in today's market, we have to do large deposits or you won't get a house. So, really what I'm doing is telling them in a nice way how we need to lay this out and not really giving them an option unless they just don't have the money to do it. So I'm more telling them what I know. We have to tell them and guide them for that kind of stuff so that they win when they're in the multiple offer scenario. If you give an option to the buyer, who knows what they will choose? They're choosing not knowing what they need to choose. Does that make sense? So I think just guiding them, asking them, but the lender is your biggest, I would say your biggest resource for really knowing your customer on that end. Any other questions?
Do you need to get permission to get information from their lender?
I call and get those basics and I don't really have a problem, but that might be a Scott Knoll question on, do I technically need, do you know that answer?
Only that I've seen with like credit unions, they'll normally then ask, okay, well, we have to call the buyer real quick and get your permission. Credit unions and banks more often than I've seen lenders, because lenders have disclosures saying they can share with your agent.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for credit scores or anything crazy. They don't even have to tell me what money's in the bank account. I just need to tell me what I need to do as far as, on negotiating an offer. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, we need 3% in closing costs by the seller. They can't buy a house. Now I know what I'm up against and what I need to do, or nope, they're perfectly fine. So I know I can push that limit a little. But, the other thing that I did miss too, as we're standing here, was the loyalty agreement. Once we got done and I went over everything, we went through, our team value and that kind of stuff, then that's the time that pretty much the simple question is, here's our loyalty agreement. I don't, can I be your agent? All this sounds fantastic. You just sign this for me, allow me to work for you and do all these wonderful things. A loyalty agreement, the simple one we have, I know the office has some too. It's nothing that you can go to court with and fight for, but when someone signs something in their heart, I think they just feel like they've done more of that shake hand promise. And that's kind of how we say it is on our team, is it's that shake hand promise that, they've agreed to work with us. And all we ask is if something changes, they let us know. So we're not on the back end making phone calls, searching for their home, and then they've moved on to another agent or somebody else. Plus, if other agents are out there, because I know one of our biggest thing is if someone says they have an agent, a lot of times at an open house, people do that just to get you to go away. And if someone does do that, the next question is, have you signed anything with them? If you haven't signed anything with them, there's a good chance that that agent is going to move further in communication. If you have, and they say, actually, yeah, we did, no more. communication has to stop, right? So that helps, I think, too, just kind of guard your client just a little bit when they give that answer. Doesn't mean they have to stay with you. They can, like this agent, call you, tell you no, and go to this person, but that agent's gonna calm down a little bit. So it helps on both ends. Anything else you guys can think of?
Which program do you use when I ask for your, do you use like Stellar MLS or
Yeah.
RPR when you send out the emails? Are you searching for emails on home?
MLS.
You guys using the Stellar MLS and then just,
Yeah, we're not happy with the One Home, the new stuff.
yeah,
So to be honest, we have our website as well, House Match's website. So we use that more now to send to our customers. And then, but MLS is, I mean, the way I look to see, but I'll use the Concierge Mode. You guys familiar with that? So in MLS, check out the Concierge Mode, and what that allows it to do is it'll shoot you over the options that are out there for your client, and it'll come up on your dashboard. Now you can look through those houses and you can choose to send ones or reject them. When that happens, you know, we can go now into our website. If we like 3 houses, we can go on our website, shoot them individually to them, but it notifies me, you know.
because I looked at, I mean, I really enjoy using the Stellar MLS too. I'm not a big fan of the One Home either when they changed it. But I did a webinar the other day with that RPR, the real property.
Yeah.
That one seems nice too.
It's very nice.
But it's a little bit more disjointed to enter the data. So like, that's what I found. I mean, it looks really nice because it has a lot of information.
It has
But you have to like add I'm obviously just not used to it because I'm used to like what to add in Stellar MLS.
Yeah,
To like for the criteria, but the criteria is a little bit different in RPR, but that one looks nice too.
it is nice. I used to use RPR a little bit. I will tell you, I use that a lot for sellers because the listing, the reports there for sellers can be really good. You know, they've got a lot more graphs, and RPR, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little fancier if you have somebody that likes a lot of information. But at the same time, you know, keep it minimal because there's not, you know, the biggest thing you want to do is find a house for the buyer, not overload them with information, you know, and there's so much information out there anyway. What we want to do is try to make things simpler. So, you know, be careful with that. And Cloud CMA is a wonderful tool that we use. Does anybody else here use that right now? Yeah.
We teach how to do it.
Okay, so Cloud CMA is fantastic. When you are, let's say, you know, Carly was a hot buyer instead of a student buyer, then I would have, you know, sent her houses immediately, whatever we found, you know, we set up the showing, we do our little Cloud CMA, it puts together the nicest little report. You can add the pictures, it has a little notes area, all the additional pictures, you know, you can bind it. We like to bind it with something like this.
The Cloud CMA well, that's for the selling, right?
Buyers too.
For buyers too.
Yeah, it does a real nice thing with all the houses, the tour, the map, it gets in order. So you can literally hand it to your buyer and say, here's the tour for today. It'll put it in order. So if they get lost, not following you or whatever, you know, they have the order you're going. And like I said, a little notes area with the picture so they can remember the home and information. And then at the back, if you do get Zillow reviews and things like that, it can put your reviews on the back of it and stuff. So it's a really nice report. Yeah. Yeah, we use that, and we use it for sellers as well. That's what I use the biggest.
Seller elements, I'll have a look at it, right? It's one of the things.
The Cloud CMA?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It also helps, when you're talking to a seller,
Mhm.
because you can be very granular and pull up a very small subset, which correlates right directly to their
Mhm.
listing. And you can say, hey, here's what's active, here's what's pending, here's what's closed in the last 90 days, is your house.
Mhm.
And they get the graphics, they get the pictures, they
Yeah.
get the descriptions, they get it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very powerful.
For the list, you're talking about for a listing? Yeah, oh no, it's great, it's great. And you can see almost we're getting on the wrong side, but as far as for a listing, definitely you can see kind of where the market's going in that neighborhood.
Yep.
You know, on where the pricing is closing out at or pending, you can see to be able to direct the seller a little bit too. So,
That's the last question. Because you guys are such a big team, are most of your buyers still coming from out of town, or are there lots, is like, as being a little bit more of a balance of people moving within our community, like the Grand Sarasota parish, or is it still out of town people buying?
I'm gonna say out of town. What do you
Still out of
guys
town.
think? I'd say, I mean, we have a mix. Would it be
I have sphere, so.
maybe 50-50? I don't know, it might be 50-50, really. I mean, we do have a good amount moving to the area for sure,
So, right.
but definitely a lot here that move from neighborhood to neighborhood. But any other questions on the buyer consultation itself
Rachel,
that we?
when you're doing setting the expectations as far as how many homes they're going to see, or they've never done this before, and you might have touched upon it, and I might have missed that part, but what do they say is, okay, so we're gonna see 10 houses, that's the role play. It's like, oh, okay, so we're gonna go out and see 10 houses today, or something like that.
So where during the consultation where I told you that, there's no such thing as that perfect home, of course. And as I told you, we see a ton of homes. So if you tell me what you're looking for, I'm gonna be able to take you right to it. And you do wanna see the best homes first, correct? Yes. That is my way of telling you in the beginning that I'm going to show you which houses are good. And our team's, I say goal and is 5 homes per person at a max is what we shoot for. So, because if you do listen, if you do ask the right question, should not.
Bless you.
Bless you. You should not, you shouldn't be having to take them all over the world. You should be able to drill in and really and truly go and take them to the home that would best suit their needs. So, and I always say it's being proactive. You want to be in front of the buyer. If you're not in front of them, sending them homes, and taking them, I say sometimes Matt, my partner, his biggest thing is don't even send them to them, have them come in, take them to the homes that they were going to love. But if you're not proactive in that and you just are setting them up on a search, which they can get all the houses from Zillow and all those places too, they're just searching everywhere. You've got them trying to do your job and just finding houses from every spot they can. And they're just sending them, I want to see this, I want to see that, I want to see this. And then now you've lost control. You're just literally, again, now you're back to being that showing agent and just opening doors for them. You're not putting your expertise in the market and the knowledge that you have to say, these are the homes that are going to fit you good. Let's go get one.
I went through that the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Susan knows about it. I ended up showing about 20 homes to this family, but it was so tricky because they wanted a $500,000 home that they were qualified for $650,000, but they wanted a $500,000 home valued at $650,000 with like 4 bedrooms, a pool, 3-car garage, the whole works and everything. And the only price we could get was at $650,000. And it was interesting because the wife, they're from Philadelphia, she wanted an old, outdated home from the 1970s, 80s to try and get a deal to make it upgraded. And husband wanted new construction.
Oh, geez.
And I tried to, I tried to really guide them, but it was like, and eventually they bought a inexpensive new construction, a DR Horton 450, which they want to flip in the next year or two. But I had 3 kids, so it was tricky because the oldest kid had autism, so we had to get his own room with like a bathroom, washroom, and kind of. That was the runaround. That was such a big runaround, and eventually found something. But it was interesting because I tried to hold it down within the parameters, but they still flipped. Like they couldn't agree. The husband and the wife couldn't agree. So
Never
it
happens.
was interesting. They're both on the text, right? So so that was an interesting experience.
So and I'm not saying you'll never have that. Remember, 5 is an average. So you're gonna have some that come from out of state that are looking, in a couple different areas that you kind of got to give a little bit of a tour for first, okay? Something like that, what I would say is, number 1, do you do a buyer consultation such as this to educate them on the market first?
I did one. We actually went to breakfast.
Okay.
So we did do that just to say this. It's a seller's market.
Okay.
This is how it's going to be. We're going to go with base offer plus 20,000.
Yeah.
Most likely in this price range, right?
Okay.
So
Were they acceptable to that
yes,
at the time?
They were acceptable.
Okay, because that would be the biggest thing of the 500 versus like that 650. They've got to know the market going in. That's just not today. And if that's what they're looking for, then maybe today isn't the day to buy, right?
Correct, yeah.
However, let me show you what we can, do.
What we
And
can get for that, yeah.
yeah, let me show you what we can get for it and try to put those pieces. The next thing would be to just keep trying to think of that 3 deep on what they want. And yes, even though they were on 2 different ends of the spectrum on what they wanted, there had to have been something in the middle there, which is what took them to where they ended up being both happy, and a temporary situation works too, definitely. I mean, if you can't get them what they want, the best step to do is get into your first home, let that grow in value. Now let's take that money and go to the next, right?
That was a big learning curve, like, I mean, for me, it was a learning curve. Just one last question, Rachel, is, so if you're showing a home, for example, because everybody is always asking what's within, like, so what are the homes going for in this area?
Yeah,
So do you use Cloud CMA or the RBR? Because what I've been doing is, like, if I go into Stellar MLS and find an address,
Mhm.
now you can look at the comparables there, but I don't always necessarily like it. So I just click up another screen, draw up the map, go back into the area, get the rectangle, and then go in pending and sold, because it reduced me in that specific area.
Mhm.
I've not been able to find an easier way. I phoned Stellar MLS to pull up the comparables within, like, let's say, a 3-mile radius
Mhm.
within those houses, like that gives a similar spec. Like, do you guys look at that just to see what the houses have gone for?
so why do you go through that for a buyer? What is your reasoning
The
between?
only reason, because I mean, comparables are kind of out the door at the moment. for a
Correct.
buyer, Because like, it's really irrelevant because everything was all over the show.
Right.
Like, I looked at like this one area, Daltera, at the back of our Mill Creek tour, and it was the most interesting thing because the prices were just like, there was no rhyme or reason,
There's-
right? It's just like, do you want the house, yes or no?
Yeah,
That's pretty much it, but they always ask, so for example, this place I'm going to now, like, there was only like 4 homes sold in the last 7
Mhm.
months.
Mhm.
This estate sale, for example. So I mean, so I know that the houses, the price is right, everything's fine, like, that's right, but they always do ask, so then I'm always I kind of do it because I think, like, I just seem to be a little bit more knowledgeable, like, I've actually made the effort
Right.
to see what's in the market, like, the house is kind of on par. But I mean, I do say to them, it's so interesting because nobody knows, you don't really know at the moment, right?
no, so what I would do is, I really don't, I never send them anything. If they ask me, I usually don't have them ask either, but I think take it back again to your buyer consultation, make sure you tell them where the market is. If they ask that, remind them of that. And then your next thing would be, if you do need to send them something, that Cloud CMA again. But just pull the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go crazy, literally. Just pull the neighborhood. Look, this is what's been happening in this neighborhood in the last 90 days. Again, it does not matter. It matters if you want the home or not.
That's right.
But here, so you can see what's been happening around in that neighborhood. Here's the active pending and solds. Yeah, but don't go too crazy.
Thank you. Okay, I'll do this, Susie. Thanks.
Anything else, you guys?
How do you handle for sale by owners or
Don't,
I knew that was coming.
I saw it on Facebook, my neighbor is selling a house.
Yep. So again,
keep it.
kind of like, yeah, kind of like, when we talked to the buyer consultation again for sale by owners. Sometimes they're gonna do their own, contract, whatnot, but to the buyer, look, they're gonna pay an attorney or they're gonna pay a broker, right? Attorneys get paid by the hour, whether they close or not. I'm cheaper. They are only gonna pay me if you get the house. So number one, that's a benefit from them. A benefit for you is they use a divorce situation. Do you want them to have an attorney and you literally have no representation? You have nobody looking after you. If you're getting divorced, you're not gonna use the same attorney. It's the same thing. So I would try to point that out, but generally it's not the buyer that matters. The buyer is good working with us. It's more the for sale by owner. And when you're dealing with the for sale by owner, I think the biggest thing there is, again, the knowledge of the contract.
Call me first.
Yeah, for them, yeah, for buyers, call me first so that we have the chance to step in front of that for sale by owner. So.
How do how do you tell them? Or do you mind? telling them?
In the buyer
You
consultation?
did in the
Yeah.
buyer consultation?
In the buyer consultation, it's literally a slide that just, it simply says that, for sale by owner, call us first, that, they're either gonna be paid, pay an attorney or a salesperson. So yeah, it's in that, and that's, everything that you saw on the slides for the buyer consultation have to do with something that has come up or, something that we know we need to educate them on to begin with. So then you can go back and remind them if you need to, because you have told them. It's funny, when you get used to doing a buyer consultation and you go through all the pieces like that, and then you do a transaction that you didn't educate the buyer, all of a sudden you're hit with objections and questions and you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do a buyer consultation on you? Because a lot of times you set that buyer, they already, oh yeah, I know what we have to offer. You already told me. I already know what our deposit should be. Yeah, that's right. You already told me. That's usually, they get the inspection report. It is always going to be a big report, right? Now it's, okay, remember what I told you. Let's go through. Let's see what's the honey to-do list. Let's see what structurally, if there's anything we need to ask the seller for. So you kind of already gotten them expecting all of this. So the conversations are a lot easier after the fact. Big time.
You set them up to have the appointment first and then, put your houses together and all that kind of stuff and reconvene for that, or?
Yes, I do not ever like to show houses on the first day of a consultation. If someone has called us in off of Zillow or, it's a lead somehow that we've gotten off our website, they may have one house they want to see, and I might break that rule and go show them the one house. If after I do my buyer consult, if it fits what they're looking for. But if I go through the whole consult and we talk and we go over their must-haves and all of that, and then this is the house they wanted to see and it makes no sense, I'll literally just tell them, look, this doesn't make sense. Now that I know this is, how about this route? And then we just cancel that showing. Yeah, because you can't, how can you set up showings if you don't even know what they want?
Do you ask them to have the pre-approval or proof of funds before you?
Yes. We should have that before the appointment is set or bring it with them. If for some reason there are times, again, none of this is 100%. So there are times you're talking to somebody that's called off of our website lead or something like that, and they tell us they haven't sent it, but we have, sometimes you can have a gut feeling too, you just have a feeling that these are, sound like they're pretty legit buyers. They're moving here from out of state, they got to buy. So obviously they should be set up. Then you might talk to them when you're here. Again, when you're going over that, the pre-approval sets you up to when, and you talk about all that. Usually if they haven't given it to you by then, they'll say, that's where that little conversation might stop and say, oh yeah, here, actually we're approved with Chase or wherever. I'll get you that letter. We've already got our approval. So that kind of answers that question during that time. But again, if you don't know all those pieces and you just jump out and set up showings, how do you know that house is going to work for them? Especially like he said, when you have a husband and wife that are together on what they want, you got to pull that together before you're going to jump out there and show them a whole bunch of houses.
Can you tell, I've seen listings that say cash offer only or must have pre-approval letters. So
Yeah.
do you use that as for further fodder to
Yeah.
get people to say?
Complicated one.
The owners are asking.
Yeah, for sure. You'll get some people, and I always say, I blame it on the higher dollar people, but you will get some people that, oh, I'm well approved. I've got cash in the bank. And they kind of throw that like, you're insulting them by asking if you, then I will gently, that's how I'll take it. Of course, I know you are definitely approved. I can just tell that, you probably got enough cash in your bank account to pay cash. However, these sellers are a pain in the ass right now. And they're not letting people in unless we have this. So just do me a favor and just send me over something so I can get us in the door. You've taken it off now, then now they're part of your team, a different way of demanding that letter so you don't make them mad. Because they take it as an insult at times. If you ask it wrong, it can come across like you don't believe them. For some reason, people get testy.
I love setting the expectations up front for everybody too. Do you, can you share a copy of that presentation, or is it like privilege for house managers?
It's fine. No, I don't mind. And I brought this too. This is kind of what we give after the fact. It's just literally, there's our team, of course. And then it gives like a little bit of steps to, you know, all the pieces that we talked about. The buyer consultation, pre-approval, narrowing your home search, home shopping, making an offer. So all this stuff that I just went through in that inspection. It goes over what they're about, expectations. It gives them their information of who. So if you do have, like she said, even a contract to close service that you're using, you could put their information here, you know, so they already have who's going to be reaching out. And then of course, you know, we put reviews and stuff at the back. But this is what they'll leave with during that, after that buyer consultation. So it's nice. And then, but yeah, I can definitely get you what we do. Play with it. Any other questions? Have you done a consultation at all yet? No?
No.
Just getting started?
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Awesome information, though. Thank you.
Yeah, it's, how about yourself? Do you guys, you're doing consultations?
I'm working with a couple of people that are kind of what you call the long view, a
Yeah.
little farther out, but like the project Susie, a lot of people are getting a point of view. This is what, you know, the $500,000 house is $1.5 million.
Yeah.
You know, I want to live in Anna Maria Island for 600,000. So it's just trying to bring them back into reality. And
Yeah.
then the other thing, you're right, I work at a new builder construction sales model on
Okay.
occasion, and people are always saying, I already have a realtor, or they're saying that they're not ready to sign with the realtor. And yeah, I've heard some really good arguments lately about, well, if you don't choose somebody to work with, and you're gonna get the same information over and over from all these realtors. And if you're looking on Zillow, you may look at things you've already, you know, we've already looked at. You know, if you want to do that, and trying to convince them that way that you're gonna get inundated with duplicate information, and you don't have time for that, right?
Right, so the question, the thing that you want to do there when you're sitting, and this is very similar to an open house and things like that you're working through, is remember that throwing them information is not going to help, because they already have their mindset set, right? What you want to do is ask questions. Okay, so they already have an agent. Great, who's the agent you're working with? Trust me, if they don't have an agent, they don't remember their name somehow.
It's funny when the wife looks at the husband. and
Yeah. So now, and you know, and that might be, and then the next thing, of course, is, you know, oh, well, every agent, I can get the information, whatever, you know, all right, well, great. How's that going for you so far? What have you, you know, what houses have you been looking at houses? How have you been getting into homes? Start asking questions instead of trying to combat them. Ask questions. So you're starting to, again, dig deep, you know, because the next thing you have, if you're asking good questions, is you're going to start getting them to talk. And now they're going to start telling you, you know, why do they feel they're going to get the same information? Why do they feel they're going to get the same deal? Because it's not going to be that way. And, you know, we can throw all the information out of them all we want, but until we find out what's giving them that reasoning, we can't help. You know, Carly, I use her as an example. She just went through a transaction with she just moved here from New York, so no judgment on another realtor, but I didn't know where you were going with this. But she, you know, they ended up going to the listing agent. And when crap hits the fan, who's being helped? Who's being helped to find a rental? Who's being helped to do the little pieces, right? Not Carly, you know, that's when now she's left on her own to figure out what's right, what's wrong, where to go, how to, you know, find a place for her family, because there's nobody there. And that's the same thing with, you know, Zillow and all these places that are throwing these realtors out to you. You know, it all comes down to, you know, if you're going to take good care of your customer.
I've had 2 bad experiences with anybody wants to.
Yeah. But yeah, try to ask questions.
Yeah, how do you get them to realize when they're brand new into this market that the listing agent doesn't have your best interest in heart?
Because you've got to go in it with questions. So, you know, how many real estate, you know, deals how many homes have you bought? Or, what, is this your first home? Start just getting to know them by questions first. Then you're gonna feel, why are they saying that? Maybe they had a bad experience with an agent that all of a sudden comes out. Maybe they just never bought a home and they're listening to everybody else. The biggest thing for you is wanting to get them into your buyer consultation. Because if you can get them into a buyer consultation, you can show them the value you can add. And now, win them over that way. Do you guys do the LP Mama script?
Because they're newer.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many of them would have known about it.
Okay. So
Probably a lot of them.
that is when you were just talking about, and I could talk forever, so I'll keep going off of every course that we have because I talk. But LP Mama would be the best way for you to get past like open houses and meeting people, or where you do too, and some of those is ask those questions. So LP Mama stands for location. So when you first are talking to somebody, is this the location they're looking in? Or where are they looking to buy a home in? Again, you're asking questions. Whether they told you they're working, let's say they don't want to talk to you. They don't need agent help. Okay, you can still ask the questions. Price, what's the price point they're looking in? Why are they looking at that price? You can dig deeper on all of these. The next is motivation. Why are they looking? When do they need to be in a home? Do they have a home to sell? Or is there lease up? Then you ask agent question. The A is for agent, which is, and don't ask, do you have an agent? How have you been out looking at homes? If they have an agent, they're gonna say, our agent has been showing us houses. If they don't have an agent, generally, they're gonna say, we just been looking online, going to open houses. Then mortgage, are they pre-qualified or paying cash? If they are doing a mortgage and they're not pre-qualified, then that's your perfect opportunity to send them to, and I don't know who you use, we use Mike Tulio a lot for our preferred lender, but you're getting a mortgage, have you gotten your pre-qual, or have you talked to a lender? No. Then you know what, I'm gonna have our preferred lender reach out to you and just show you some of the great programs he has. I still don't know if these people are working, but I'm coming from contribution, I'm talking to them, right? Then the next thing, after you've chit-chatted with all that stuff, your next is A for appointment. So now that we've gone over all this, the next best thing we could do is simply set an appointment. Let's get together in my office so that we can go over the buying process, the state of the market. Let's set you up for success and get you that dream home you're looking for. Sound good? So if you try to use that LP Mama as your guide, even if it gets off track when you're talking, and this could be a call, this could be I say lead pool, or just a bunch of leads, open houses, anything. If you're doing your stuff, with the new construction, if you use that as a guide, you're going to get those answers that you need to have a good conversation. And if you get off track, it's okay. Just think in your head, which one didn't I get? Then ask the question. By the end, you've had such a great conversation and talking, they love you.
What I've done is write LP Mama. So as I'm talking on the phone, I can make sure either I wrote it down or I checked it off, that I asked the question, I got the information. To not forget to go through the LP Mama, because I have forgotten, and then it doesn't get to the appointment part because you never answered all those questions. So
it helps.
Yeah.
Keeps a little script that you can go. And then again, the key is to set that appointment. Get them in the office, go over it. Now you've shown your value, and now you get a client. So, because they need, everyone honestly needs help. They just don't realize it. So, and unfortunately, we do have a lot of agents, no KW agents, but we do have a lot of agents out there that are just, they're quick to just write a contract and don't care about the client. So show them, come from contribution, ask the right questions, dig deep, you will win.
So another type of client I get a lot of, especially in
Right.
model homes, is the person that says I need to stay in the house for another year or two because of home, not home equity, it was a capital gains.
Capital gains,
So how do you?
there's really no way
work
around
with
capital
someone like
gains.
that?
Yeah, so
Is
I've
that
actually.
a long lead person that
That's more of your watch in a sense, as I say, your long-term customer. However, if you can show them the benefit, so I recently sold 2 homes that they're gonna pay capital gains on. But it outweighed the reason. So we just went into, okay, why is selling on the radar? What do they need to accomplish right now? And over the long term, I had one person that her husband unfortunately is not doing well, and we don't expect him to make it too long. So she needs to make this move. She needs the money now. So that little bit of expense or big expense is kind of going to be there because of the market and what it's done. She does have a nice nest egg. So it's worth the money to take it now. I have another one, same thing. They want a larger home and grow a family. And if percentage interest rates go up, prices go up, even though they're going to lose a little money here, when I sit down and look at all of the 2 scenarios, because that's what you're going to do with them, is you're going to look at, okay, this is what this scenario looks like today. But let's say next year, 2 years from now, you don't have this $40,000 tax bill, but now interest rates went up, and now where you want your payment, you can't afford as much house. So now you can't get what you want, but today the package would work. Why not do it today? So, that's again, just, it depends on the person. You've got to just ask the right questions to really know what's their goal. And if their goal is just, moving, or I don't know, if they don't have any specific need, then no, it'd just be better for them to wait. There's no sense in throwing money
it
out.
seems like a consistent theme with these guys are the ones that just bought on the fly.
Yeah,
They panicked last year.
yeah.
They said, I better get it now, I'm just really worried that I won't be able to find anything, and now they're having buyer's remorse because it wasn't really the house they wanted, they just bought the first thing.
It might benefit them to take the hit and go, because maybe it isn't the money works. If the money works, talk to a lender and see, have them talk to an accountant. If the money works, why wait? Why, just be happy today.
That's what we did.
Yeah, they took a
We
lot.
bought and sold within a year. We bought our home we went into contract in October last year. So we bought before things started really shooting up. And we've made over $100,000 off of our house. So the new house, even though it's more money than what it would have been last year, it basically is a wash for us. And we're making so much money off of our old house now that and our interest rate's still low that we got for the new house, that it worked out for us. And we're still benefiting from having capital gains.
Mhm.
I am that person too. And my concern from a client side is when the market correction occurs, am I gonna miss the bubble?
So in a conversation on that aspect is, okay, and how long are you looking to stay in your next home?
To the day after the capital gains.
Yeah. Once you sell that one, how long are you looking to stay? And your next one?
Hopefully forever.
Yeah. So, that's another thing too, is kind of, feeling out what that next home it looks like for you. If it's a long-term purchase, taking a little loss and getting into, the market today, whether you don't miss this bubble. Yeah, some people say, well, then you're buying high, but at the same time, if it's a long-term purchase over an extended period of time in this area, you're looking at least 3% growth, right? If you looked at truly a scale, whether it went up and down or whatever. So, as long as you feel safe in your long-term investment, take the hit and go. Because you don't know there's no magic ball, no when I say the bubble, I don't foresee any crazy break in a bubble, but think we've got too many good loans and people moving here from, I think others are changing our market more than we're gonna have a bust in the bubble.
It's a different client buying now than what was 2008.
For sure.
I mean, those people were overextended. They shouldn't have gotten
Yeah.
loans in the first place. These
Yeah.
are all people with money.
Yeah, they're coming here with their jobs and making good money and buying here. So,
Especially everybody working remotely.
I know, I've had, I think, 2 or 3 people, they literally have their jobs in New York, California, and they're bringing them here, so they get that paycheck. But then they're buying a house here, and no wonder they don't care about spending, extra money or throwing cash into a deal, because it's so much cheaper here.
That would be nice, a New York and California job with
Yeah.
Florida taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, so it makes a difference.
So my fiance just did, she's got a job in Pennsylvania, but she has to work here. So, yeah, got that job.
Congrats,
Very good.
congrats. Anything else you guys can think of?
About the 2008, so it was overextended. Could you put more details on like that, about the history about that?
The 2008 crash that we
Yeah,
had?
so I know-
Just a couple of details.
So, yeah, I mean, literally what happened was I'd say it was worse than it is today. I mean, people were just going crazy. I mean, people were literally selling contracts because it was just escalating. The prices were escalating so fast. Now, the difference between today, as we were just talking about, and then was lenders were lending on stated loans and that had, not necessarily the greatest credit or, anticipating income, things like that. So there were not great loans coming out there. People weren't putting large amounts of money into the deal. A lot of that was going on. So then adjustable interest rates, balloon payments, when all of a sudden they were taking them at this low interest rate, or the lower interest rate to get these people approved on a balloon rate. You understand that? So all of a sudden, when the rate in 3 years, 5 years, whenever it was to go to its corrected rate, was so crazy that now the payment was undoable for the buyer. So what they anticipated, they knew that was going to happen to the buyer, and the buyer knew. But what they thought was, oh, the market's going crazy, I'll just refinance at that time and everything will be great. Well, you can't refinance now because your home, now the market crashed, now your home is worth half of what you bought it for. So now you can't get a loan. So now, you have a balloon payment, or you have, adjustable interest rate or something, and now you can't survive. So people were walking away from their houses. And then we were having foreclosures and short sales, and it was terrible. Divorces. So it just kind of, the bottom just came out from underneath us. But I blame lending a lot on that as well, because they did terrible loans. They kind of set the people up for failure, to be honest with you.
Selling cars.
Yeah, they're not giving them out like they used to. So-
No, now you have to be approved. There are some stated bank statement loans and stuff, but they're very, very, they're a little tighter. You have to have good credit scores. You have to have still money in the pot, some down payment money. So now, they're not doing anything, income's verified, your money, you have to put money down. So it's totally different. Now you have a stable buyer buying a house, even if the market was to, let's say the market just dumped again. I mean, your interest rate's at 3%. You're paying less in your mortgage than you would in rent. So even if the market crashed, you just stay in your house until the market comes back. They just couldn't stay because they couldn't afford it.
See,
So it created a bad scenario.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So for time purposes, because we asked Rachel to be here until 12, although you're welcome to stay if they have questions. But I did want to thank you for
Yes.
spending your time with us. We really appreciate it.
Hopefully that helps. I know I'm kind of running through it a little weird. But hopefully it helps give you
There's
an
a lot of-
idea of what we do in the console.
Oh, very good.
Appreciate
So-
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No
Thanks,
problem. You got one of your cards?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Nice.